There was always something unsettling about my grandmother's house. It wasn't the creaky floorboards or the dusty furniture that whispered of forgotten memories. It was the whispers themselves. Faint, unintelligible murmurs that seemed to emanate from the very walls, following me from room to room like an unwelcome shadow. My grandmother, bless her soul, never seemed to notice them. Or if she did, she chose to ignore them. But for me, those whispers were a constant, eerie presence, intensifying as the years went by. It all came to a head one stormy afternoon when my grandmother, at the ripe age of 92, decided to pass away peacefully in her sleep. Her funeral was a somber affair, filled with the expected tears, embraces, and shared memories. As the town's priest spoke of her virtues, I couldn't help but cast uneasy glances around the old house. Was this truly where she wished to be laid to rest? After the funeral, we began the arduous task of sorting through my grandmother's belongings. Each room we entered seemed to amplify the whispers, making the air grow heavy with their unsettling presence. Then we found it, a small, intricately carved wooden box hidden beneath some loose floorboards in my grandmother's bedroom. Inside was a journal. Its leather cover was smooth from years of handling, and its pages, filled with my grandmother's elegant cursive script, detailed not just the history of our family, but also the house itself. As I delved deeper into the journal, I discovered that the house had been in our family for over 200 years, passed down from generation to generation. It had witnessed births, deaths, and countless stories that had shaped our family tree. But one entry in particular sent shivers down my spine. Dated over 100 years ago, the entry described the construction of a secret passageway beneath the house. According to the journal, this tunnel served as a means of escape in times of peril. At first, I dismissed it as an overactive imagination, a byproduct of living in such a historic house. However, as I continued reading, I came across other references to the tunnels, each one more cryptic and unsettling than the last. The whispers in the house seemed to intensify, weaving a tapestry of intrigue and unease. I felt an overwhelming sense of urgency to uncover the truth behind these cryptic writings. I met with my family, sharing what I had found. Their reactions ranged from skepticism to mild curiosity. Most agreed that it was a fascinating, albeit creepy tale. But a few, particularly my older relatives, seemed uncharacteristically uneasy. They suggested I leave the past undisturbed, warning me of consequences I couldn't fathom. But my determination only grew stronger. The journal had been my grandmother's most prized possession. She must have known the truth about the tunnels, I thought. And if anyone could lead me to them, it was her. I decided to return to the house, hoping to find more clues. Armed with a journal and a flashlight, I began my exploration. The house seemed different now, every creak and groan echoing the secrets it held. The whispers seemed to guide me, urging me forward. I started in the basement, examining every nook and cranny. The musty air hung heavy, making it difficult to breathe. Just as I was about to give up, I noticed a loose brick. Behind it was a keyhole. The journal had mentioned a key hidden somewhere in the house, and I remembered my grandmother wearing a pendant in the shape of a key on a necklace. I rushed upstairs, eager to find it. The pendant was no longer around my grandmother's neck, but upon closer inspection, I realized it was embedded in the wall as a paperweight on her desk. With trembling hands, I inserted the pendant into the keyhole. A click echoed in the silent room, and a section of the wall began to move, revealing a dark opening. Taking a deep breath, I stepped into the tunnel. It was pitch black, and the air was stale, heavy with the scent of damp earth. The whispers seemed to grow louder, almost forming words, telling me to turn back. But I pressed on. The tunnel was narrow, barely wide enough for me to stand in, and the ceiling was so low that I had to stoop. I continued crawling forward. The rough, uneven surface of the tunnel scraped against my skin. Then I heard it, a faint glimmer of light ahead. Hope surged through me. I crawled faster, the whispers now a torrent of voices, urging me onward. As I rounded a bend, the light grew brighter. It led me to a small chamber. In the center was a wooden chest, its surface covered in grime and age. With shaking hands, I lifted the lid. Inside was a collection of old photographs, letters, and documents. One photograph caught my eye. It was a portrait of my great-grandparents, the couple who had built the house. Their eyes seemed to stare directly at me, their expressions unreadable. I turned the photograph over. On the back was an inscription: "To walk these grounds is to carry their legacy." I carefully examined each item, piecing together fragments of our family history. The whispers seemed to fade, replaced by a profound silence. I had uncovered secrets that had remained hidden for generations. But with this newfound knowledge came a sense of responsibility. I realized that my family's legacy wasn't just about the whispers or the tunnels. It was about the people whose lives had unfolded within these four walls. Their joys, their sorrows, their hopes and dreams had all contributed to the story of our family. The house was more than just bricks and mortar. It was a living, breathing testament to the enduring power of family and memory. As I stood there in that musty, dimly lit chamber, surrounded by the ghosts of my ancestors, I felt a profound sense of connection to the past. I understood that the whispers I'd heard all those years weren't just unsettling sounds, they were voices reaching out across time, trying to be heard. They were the stories of my family, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be understood. I returned home, carrying not just the weight of my family's secrets, but also their stories. The whispers had led me on a journey that had unearthed not just the history of a house, but the history of my soul. I knew then that my life's work would be to keep their memories alive, to ensure that the whispers didn't fade into oblivion, but became a symphony of voices that echoed through the halls of time. The house stood bathed in the warm glow of sunset, its silhouette stark against the darkening sky. I walked up to it, each step echoing the footsteps of my ancestors. The whispers seemed to dance around me, no longer unsettling, but welcoming, like the murmur of 1,000 voices greeting their long-lost child. As I stepped inside, I felt a profound sense of homecoming. The house enveloped me in its embrace, enveloping me in its rich history. The whispers seemed to guide me, leading me from room to room, sharing their stories with me. I listened intently, my heart aching with empathy and understanding. In the dimly lit parlor, I heard the laughter of children playing, their innocent voices echoing through the ages. I saw the elegant forms of my ancestors dancing, their steps light and graceful. I felt the warmth of their love and the depth of their despair as they whispered their secrets to the walls. The kitchen, with its worn countertops and aged cabinets, whispered tales of family meals, of recipes passed down through generations, of hands that once kneaded dough and stirred bubbling pots. The aroma of baking bread filled the air, mingling with the sweet scent of apple pie, creating a symphony of flavors that tantalized my senses. As I ascended the creaking staircase, the whispers grew softer, more intimate. In my grandmother's bedroom, I felt her presence the strongest. I saw her sitting by the window, her eyes gazing into the distance, her hands resting on a worn quilt. I heard her humming a gentle tune, a lullaby from days gone by. I continued my journey, exploring every nook and cranny of the house, uncovering the stories that lay hidden within its walls. In the attic, amidst the dust and cobwebs, I found a treasure trove of memories. Old trunks and chests overflowed with clothing, photographs, and personal items, each whispering stories of lives lived and loved ones lost. But it was in the garden that I truly connected with my family's whispering past. As I strolled among the overgrown paths, I felt their presence all around me. I saw them tending to their flower beds, picking fresh herbs for their kitchen, sharing laughter and stories under the shade of a giant oak tree. And when the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the lawn, I gathered with my family around a crackling bonfire. We roasted marshmallows, telling spooky stories and singing songs that echoed the whispers of our ancestors. As the night deepened, I looked up at the star-studded sky and whispered my own story into the wind, knowing that it, too, would become part of the whispering legacy of my family's house.